This is the end, beautiful friend. This is the end, my only friend. The end of our elaborate plans. The end.
This is The Sports Source, presented by Bill Hotz and Associates, and by Renewal by Andersen, with your host, John Pennington.
Good Sunday morning and welcome into the Sports Source, presented today by Bill Hotz and Associates. Look, we could sit here and rant and rave and throw things and act like children, or we could try and provide good answers to tough questions with a little bit of gallows humor thrown in. So that's where we're going. If you've watched us low these 15 years, you probably knew that's where we'd be going. So Tennessee with a terrible loss yesterday at Neyland Stadium, 41-0 to Georgia. The crowd showed up. There were some people that were on Twitter who wanted to sabotage Checker Neyland, and they failed. The Tennessee fans showed up. Unfortunately, the offense didn't. And then eventually, because of that, the defense decided to leave as well. We'll discuss this nightmare of a game and the situation with Butch Jones all day. Let's get started. First segment of our show brought to you by Bill Hotz and Associates. You know, most people enjoy lawyer jokes. Most of us laugh at some of the attorney ads we see on TV. But when somebody finds themselves in an accident, a victim of a careless driver, and you're out money and you're having to do medical bills, yeah, it's no laughing matter at that point. Go with the attorneys who've won tens of millions of dollars for their clients who were wronged over the last 30 years. Bill Hotz and Associates. There's no better name. You see the website. Remember it. Bill Hotz and Associates. We appreciate them for bringing you this show today. I want to welcome in the first wave of panelists we have right here, Bob Hodge, VFL David Ligon, not a great day for him, Jimmy Himes, VFL Daniel Hood, not a great day for him. All right, thank you guys. As always, I want to start with headlines. Jonesing for change, and the picture that kind of summed up yesterday's game was Ja'Shawn Robertson's own butt fumble, the one-man butt fumble yesterday. That's kind of where the game changed. The defense had held solid until that point, and it was almost like, look, we even gave you the ball down here, and you can't do anything with it, and then that just kind of broke the spirit. But jonesing for change is one of the headlines. That's what we're going to talk about in this first part, but let me show you some numbers. Tennessee versus the top 10. Now, this is my count. People go through these media guides. Maybe I missed something, but Vols now 0-27 versus top 10 teams since 2006. The last 27. Last win was over number 10 Georgia in 2006. Now South Carolina in 2013, they were ranked number 9 in one poll, but they were 11th in the other. So
that averages 10.
That averages 10. All right, Vols are just, but this goes back further than what? It's just not 2006. You go all the way back to 2002. You're 5-38 against top 10 teams. You haven't been at that next level in a long time. Average score in those games? You get your butt kicked.
Wow.
17-point deficit is the average score. And it really didn't change much with that 41-0 shellacking yesterday. That's how many games you're talking about. All right, next stat, just talking about how bad yesterday was. 41-0 loss at home, worst since 45-0 to Vandy in 1905. It wasn't even Neyland Stadium at that point. Shutout streak. The shutout snapped a 289-game scoring streak. That streak was the 6th longest in FBS history. Last shutout was 31-0 versus Florida way back in '94. A Butch Jones coach team had never been shut out. Jones drops to just 7-6 in his last 13 games. And to make it all worse, ESPN, CBS, SEC Network all poked fun at him yesterday for his comments about drama, negativity in the media this week. And then one last thing that's up there, and this leads us into our first topic. Barrett Sallee of CBS Sports posts over under 6 p.m. Sunday night on the announcement that Butch Jones has been let go. Har, har, har. Here's my question. Does Butch Jones survive this Georgia game? He survived the night. I think he survives the Georgia game.
I think he survives the Georgia game. I think he probably survives the South Carolina game, regardless of outcome.
Don't go further because that's a question for later in the show.
Then I won't go any further.
Thank you. Okay. So you think he survives right now?
Oh, I tell you what, I felt bad after yesterday. I really felt bad after reading all those stats. I didn't realize it was so ugly. But I do think he will survive going forward. How far depends on the performance.
Jimmy, we get a new AD, you got a new chancellor. There's no way to really say, well, based on what they've done here before, it's tougher to say. But do you think this is the kind of bunch that would make a move here in the open date?
No, I do not. And I don't think John Curry wants to make a move at all. He may have his hand forced a little bit later this year, but I don't think he wants to make the change. We've run through the numbers about what it would cost Tennessee. It's pretty expensive. It could reach up to $25 million. That's mitigated by whether or not the coaches would get jobs. elsewhere. But no, I don't think he wants to make a move. I have no doubt he survives this week. Going beyond that, we'll see.
I told somebody on Twitter yesterday that this administration doesn't want to fire somebody else because it's just been one fire after another, and they wrote back, "Who have they fired?" I thought, have you even been awake the last 10 years? How was your coma? That you just apparently popped out
How
from?
was Mr. Van Winkle?
Yeah, really. It was, chancellors, ADs, presidents, football coaches, basketball coaches. They fired a lot of people. I think one of the things working in Jones' favor right now is the fact that they want some stability over there, and I think they'll try and give it to him. But as you say, their hands might be forced. Daniel Hood, let me twist it just a little bit on you. You played for this guy. Has this team quit on him?
I don't see that. I don't see them quitting. I think you still see the effort out there. I think you just see a lot of deficiencies coming out, and I think at this point, most of that blame is shifting to your coaching staff, saying that they're making too many mistakes. Okay, well, you got to coach them better, and so that's kind of where I feel with it right now. Is it's a tough fence to be on the side of because players are making mistakes, but you got to coach them not to make those mistakes.
I don't think quit would be the right word, but I think yesterday you definitely saw a letdown in a certain point of the game, and I think you showed the key picture to the whole thing right there. Tennessee gets the ball down close. The offense can't do anything, and I think that's when you saw the defense kind of back up a little bit because I thought the defense had played, and they played okay after that for an amount of time too, but I thought that's when you finally saw a little bit of air coming out. So I don't know if you call that quitting.
They got discouraged.
Or an emotional letdown.
Well, they had played so well, forced 3 and outs, were giving up nothing rushing wise. Mm-hmm. You give your offense the ball and they immediately turn it right back over. I mean, that would make you go, what the heck? Why aren't you giving us some help here?
Well, even on good teams, I think it's like that. You have one side of the ball that's doing much better than the other, and that happens occasionally, even on really good football teams. And you will be there sitting on the sideline, sitting with your group, the other offensive lineman for me, and you'll have a conversation and talk about like what's going on with the defense, but also talk about, hey, we've got to step it up because they're having a bad day.
Let me go to the next question. By the way, we're going to talk a lot about Butch Jones a lot later in the show, so stick with us. We'll discuss whether or not he survives the season. That's coming up. But I also want to bring this up as our second headline. Miss me yet? Now, we tried to say that a lot on this show last year for the people that were saying, let's get Dobbs out of here and give us Dormady. You were going to miss this guy when he's gone. And I think he and DeBoard are now, now people are starting to see, leading the SEC in touchdowns wasn't bad. Gotcha, okay? Let me show you some numbers here. This is Tennessee this century when completing fewer than 56% of their passes as a team, all right? This year they're at 54.6. They have a 3-2 record so far. 2013, 2011, 2008, 2005, all 5-win seasons. And then 2004 was kind of the outlier. They went 10-3 with 3 different quarterbacks that year.
And 2,000-yard rushers. I think that's where
there you go. 2,000-yard rushers also helped there. Guys, look, good quarterback can mask a lot of ills. When you don't have a great quarterback or you're not getting great quarterback play, it exposes a lot of ills, and I think that's where Tennessee is right now. Mm-hmm. Where would this team be if they had Josh Dobbs?
Well, they'd be a whole lot better. And I think, look, it's kind of funny. I thought the media, for the most part, had Dobbs back. It seemed like it was more the fans. Give me Dormady, give me Dormady. Well,
a chunk of them,
yeah. Yeah, and so, but I think Dobbs was underappreciated by some when he was here. The other thing is, Tennessee's program to me, while it's better than it was, obviously, when Butch Jones took over, they also couldn't survive losing Josh Malone and Derek Barnett and Alvin Kamara, juniors that turned pro. And I think that's hurt them too. You give those 3 and Dobbs put those on this team, I think you're looking at a whole different picture.
Daniel, I'll let you finish up the subject. Just the difference it makes losing Josh Dobbs on this team.
It's huge, and it goes back to that first year when we ended up having to pull his red shirt. So if you had him here, he'd be a lot better. And when you look at its effect on coaching as well, Dan Mullen, there's a reason that they didn't win 9-10 games the year after Dak Prescott left. You look at Gene Cizik down at Auburn. There's a reason he didn't have a job 2 years after I think it was Cam Newton left.
Florida since Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow. And so when you have those special players, it's just take advantage of them when you have it.
All right. A little later we'll discuss more on Butch Jones, a lot more. But next I want to talk about UT's struggles on the offensive line and the issues at quarterback. Our VFLs break it down. Come on back on the Sports Source.